Everything has a little checklist that you have to make sure you get done. So it really took my point of view and made me adapt it to every industry I have been a part of since, because we all have systems, we all have routines. You just have to make sure you're looking at it that way so that you can create the playbook so it's a beautiful dance. When you lay down at night, we have kids, your brain starts going about your children and like, oh, should I have done that? Your brain's gonna do that with your business too. I started kind of thinking outside of the box where it comes to how can I help more people get their stuff together, stop being the bottleneck, and that's doing more of the higher level strategic support.
Welcome to the show. My name is Vince Perri. I am your business broker and exit strategist, and I'm here for another great show with another amazing guest that finally we've rescheduled several times, but we got it in, Kelsey. We got it in. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Kelsey. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and that we're able to make this time work.
I can feel your excitement, which makes me excited as well. So thank you for being excited.
No problem. I'm good at it.
So Kelsey, I would like for you to introduce yourself, but just real quick, you are the founder of, you're a strategic CEO, COO and advisor, and you are the owner of Virtual Integrator and the Pocket CEO. Could you briefly tell me a little bit about yourself and about what you do?
Yeah. So the Virtual Integrator really came about because I was reading Rocket Fuel. And as I was reading the book, I was like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's me. And I was like, Integrator, yes, I finally feel seen. And that was probably, how old is my oldest? 7. So I want to say about 7 years ago when I really realized like, oh, there is something that I do besides being called a fixer. And so as I grew the business and I started out as an assistant, I moved it into an OBM, which is an online business manager. That didn't quite fit. And then I moved it into fractional COO, and I was like, this is getting closer. I almost felt like Goldilocks, like you have to keep hopping. And I landed in this where I do the COO and strategic support. And it all came about because every time I talk to somebody, really in a couple of the masterminds with Dan Martell's group and another group that I'm in here in Houston, and everybody talked about how they have their playbooks that are templates. They have coaches that have templates for them. Their issue is actually taking those things and executing them. And in a world where we have so many people coaching and doing all these things, we're starting to have gaps with someone helping with the execution aspect. And that's where the advisory really came in, which is really under Pocket COO. And to really break that down, Pocket COO is like my little way of saying, like, you have a COO in your pocket. You don't have to hire somebody full time, especially when you're launching a business, you're growing the business. You may not need that yet. And that's totally fine. So that's where it's like somebody in your pocket, like you could just pick them out and message them in Slack and get your answers done.
I love that you got excited when you read the integrator part of Rocket Fuel, because for me, when I read that part, I was like, oh, I don't want that. I want to be the visionary. And I would think that because I would think that like just the word visionary sounds so much cooler than the word integrator. And I would, when I would read that book and I would read the other one, EOS, the traction, I would always be like, why would anybody want to be an integrator? Like, even if you are an integrator, I feel like people would want to be a visionary because that's such a cool word. And you're like the visionary and all you have to do is think of cool ideas. That's like, sounds like, why would anybody want to be the integrator? So that's really cool to know that you got excited about it, but to also know that there are people that actually will thrive in that role. Like, they do exist. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that's really cool that you got excited about that. You like all that stuff.
I love it. And I found that because I have a couple clients where I am their fractional COO. Essentially, I'm running their operations for their business. And I love it. We've been together a while. And now I'm starting to see the limitations of being the fractional operations manager. I can't help as many people and it limits my capacity. So that's where I started kind of thinking outside of the box where it comes to how can I help more people get their stuff together, stop being the bottleneck, and that's doing more of the higher level strategic support. So that's where that COO and strategic advisor come in, because then I can take on a couple different companies, be that high level person to help them get out of their own way, delegate better, help take that implementer and like really understand what the visionaries do help them figure out how they want to implement it, and then let their teams execute it. So now I'm helping them move the needle. And because I'm not so integrated into their systems, I can help more people make progress. And it has just been so much fun. And I feel like such a nerd because I love all of this. And it's like a little puzzle piece every single day.
So you mentioned a couple different terms, like you mentioned COO, you mentioned implementer, you mentioned integrator, you mentioned systems architect, operator for hire. Like, what are the differences between all of these things? Because you said that you were in a COO role, but you said you couldn't help as many people. So just explain to me sort of the
Yeah.
difference between an operations manager and let's say an integrator.
Yeah. So for me, I look at it as when you kind of picture it like a funnel. So the integrator or a pyramid is at the top. They're more of that strategic oversight. They can take what the visionary has and they help them bring it to life. So you can tell me I want to go do this and it's like, okay, that's great. Let's come up with the way that we're actually going to get there and work backwards to develop the plan. And then from there, they work with the operations manager to actually do the implementation. And so that's where, and I find with smaller businesses, the fractional COO kind of blends in with the operations manager sometimes where you're doing the execution work. So when it's smaller businesses, those kind of get a little fuzzy. When it's higher level companies, larger companies, more corporate type businesses, they are definitely more separated. But I look at it as like visionary, the person taking the vision and developing the plan. That person has a plan. They put it down to the person that can help execute it. That person delegates out the stuff. And then you have the people actually doing.
What do you do with a smaller size business then that really just has the owner operator working and everything? How can you help with their operations? Because one of the things that I stress all the time in the preparation for exit, I work with business owners. Usually anywhere after about 3 to 5 years, I think is a good
Okay.
time because they're very much startup phase before that. So one of the things that I stress to them is something that's called structural capital. Structural capital are basically the way the business runs and all that is in your brain on paper, which is the SOPs, the systems, the processes, and making sure those things are set so that you could create the playbook. How do you work with the smaller companies that, you know, everything's in their head and you know as much as I do, you need to get that thing on paper. But then my follow-up question is that my follow-up question to that is how to actually execute it because I have built plenty of operations manuals and playbooks that collect dust.
Yeah. And that's the thing is I think when you're in that earlier stage and you're building it and you're like a one-man show or a two-person, you kind of go through these highs of like, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to document, I'm going to record it. And then you do it for like 2 weeks, kind of go do something else. So what I like to do is depending on where you are in your business, I help you maintain the momentum. And by doing that, first we develop the plan of what are the things that you want to document first. So you have a little checklist that you get your little dopamine hit because you crossed it off, you recorded it, and we keep it very simple. I don't want, we get so pulled by shiny objects. And if something feels just slightly difficult, we resist it and we go do something that's maybe more fun, especially when you're in the growing phase, because you're like, well, I can do that later. So I like to, one of the things I like to do is I say, I don't want to burn calories thinking about what I have to do next. So I help you come up with the checklist of the things that we want to document first. We really want to get down. And then we create like a calendar invite to yourself where you're going to link the document that you're going to be working on, the Loom, if you're going to use Loom. We put everything in your to-do list so that there is no barrier because you know what you need to do. You have everything in front of you. You have your priority list and we work and chip away at it. And I think that we so often feel like we should be doing this, we should be doing that, to where we get overwhelmed. So I like to make sure that as we're developing your plan, it feels manageable to you. Because at the end of the day, you're the one executing it. So you have to make sure it's sustainable and you can fit it into your schedule.
How do you hold them accountable? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question is I had a meeting with a business owner yesterday and I gave him his next 3 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of the next 3 months is to put together the SOPs. And I even gave him which SOPs to put together. But I felt like I was I felt like it was falling on deaf ears. Like I kind of felt
Mm.
like he was like, okay, 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 because I think sometimes people don't even. You know how many times I tell people SOP and they're like, "What's that?" So like I'm not even sure. Like, do you give them the outline of exactly how to do it and do you walk them through it? Do you follow up with them? Like, how involved are you when you give them these tasks that they have to accomplish?
It depends on the person, but I, depending on who you are, I will become a little bit of your stalker and like the
Okay,
little bug on your
good.
shoulder, because that's, especially when you're a 1 or 2 man team, you really need somebody to help push you. And that's where, even if you have an assistant, working with that person's assistant to be like, you need to put this on the calendar and
Rest.
holding them accountable. Like, we have to do this together so that everybody's moving the needle here. And so I have templates that I use when it comes to SOPs, but I find, one, I don't like to say SOP a lot in the very beginning. I talk about, let's get your routine written out,
Okay,
because SOP and procedure is, those are very scary words.
sure.
If it's not your love language, like it is to me, it could just make you be like, ugh. So I first talk about like, hey, do you drink coffee? And they're like, yeah. Okay. Would you let me just go make you a cup of coffee, or do you have instructions? Well, no, I have instructions. Okay. How do you drink it? Okay. Well, I do this, this, this. Great. That's an SOP. That's a process. And they're like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, yeah. Like, how do you prepare for the night before? Like, if you have kids, do you prep the backpack for school? All of these routines are processes. We just call them something different. So I kind of break down that barrier that's a little intimidating by being like, you're doing it already. Now we just need to write it down, so that if you had somebody make your cup of coffee, they know how to do it, and it's going to be the right thing every single time.
Where do you store it? Like, where do you save it? Where do you put it away so that it could actually be used once the process is saved? Because that's a question I get a lot.
Google Docs, Google Drive. I find a lot of us, and I was watching your video on this too about the SOPs and the checklists, and I was like, yes. So if you guys haven't seen that one, go check out that episode.
Thank you.
But keep it simple. And I think that's something that, as we get started, and I am a victim of this too, is we see all of the people, our mentors, the people we look up to, with all these systems and tools and bells and whistles. And so we go buy them all, and then we get overwhelmed. So keep it simple. Get a Google folder. I'm going to pull this from your playbook. Get a Google folder, have it in there, be an SOP folder and a checklist folder, and just brain dump. It doesn't have to be perfect, because right now we're getting out of everything out of your head and into your drive. And you can simply create one Google Doc where you have, the first tab is a simple template of what the SOP is, what the Loom link is if you use Loom or Scribe or any recording software, and then steps about the process. And then next tab. And you can keep everything in one Google Doc if that's what you need to do right now. So the barrier is just get started, have a simple list of what you want to get out of your brain, and then just do it and have somebody hold you accountable. So that's where, like, I would come in and be like, hey, where's that SOP you were going to put together? It's Friday. You were going to do this Thursday. Have your admin help hold you accountable, and just lean on others too, because it takes a drive.
How do you suggest that we manage our employees to make sure that they're doing the SOPs as well? Like, one thing that I like to do is, obviously we've learned from our coaching and stuff, is we shouldn't be, as a business owner, creating all the SOPs, because a lot of times if we're at a point where we do have employees, we're not doing everything anyway. And it's better that the employees or the admin, whoever it is, puts the SOPs together for you. How can you ensure that the SOPs are getting done? Is it like do you think it would be like a quarterly thing or like a monthly thing? I'm asking, this is like a personal question, because we're launching a company now, and my marketing team is doing a bunch of stuff, and I'm always like writing them a little bit, making sure that the SOPs are there, that they're written down. I actually created a GPT on how to do my SOP. So all I have to do is put the Loom video and the transcript in there, and it spits it out exactly how I want it. So do you suggest it's like a monthly thing, a quarterly thing? What do you suggest to make sure that the team is continuously building SOPs? Or what'd you say? Not SOPs. We don't use that word now.
Routine.
Routines.
I would say, I think it would depend on department. So, like, if you have sales where you're selling and you're nurturing, or sales and then you're nurturing your current clientele, I think you'd want to check in on those, especially as you're getting started, more often. So monthly, and have the people, the frontline team, walk you through the SOP and ask them questions like, does this still align with where you guys are right now? Because they're the ones executing. So it has to make sense to them. So I would just do monthly touch base as you guys are getting things up and running. You're really refining and just adjusting and do that check in with the team. And honestly, to keep track of everything, you can set up a Google Sheet that's an SOP tracker where you have the name of the SOP. Like how I have mine set up is it's like a department where you can do a drop down and select sales, marketing, ops, and I think admin is what I have. And then you have the name of the doc and the link to the doc, last updated, and the initials by who. And then you can even have another column that says needs to be updated or something like that, to where once a month on the first of every month, you open up the sheet and you say, okay, what's due for updates? And
Interesting.
let's just
like
go through it. And you can just have it as a reoccurring meeting, put the Google Sheet in the meeting invite. So it's right there. Everybody can find it. You can ask your admin to look at it ahead of time and pull out the items that have to be reviewed for that month even, and put that on the agenda, and boom, make sure everybody's there that needs to be, and say, does this still align? Is this still accurate? Yes, no, what do we need to change?
So for those of the audience that are already gotten sick of hearing about SOPs and the stuff that they need to do in their company, why? Why do we need to do this? Why is it important, do you think? Why is it so important to create these things?
Because you can't do everything. And Dan says it all the time, good is better than, what is it? Good is better than done. Like, in my opinion, you don't need a 100. You can get by
I
with
say
85.
80%, 80.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can have it written out, you have a quality check, especially if it's with your current customers. You have your minimal viable product of what a good delivery and taking care of and providing quality support is. And that is setting the baseline and the expectation for the team. So it holds your team accountable for what they're going to deliver. It holds them accountable to their role, and it gives you a touch base back to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do. And if there's areas to improve, they're probably going to tell you because they're the ones doing it. Or maybe you're getting feedback from customers. And it's just, it gives you a backup, covers your butt when it comes to you're sick and your salesperson is sick, but maybe your backup salesperson, your second in command in that area, can still step in and know what to do. And your business can run. And it also gives you time back, because that's the end of the day. Is we go and we start businesses because we want to own how much money we make. We want to have our own time. Then we realize the first year, I'm working more than I've ever worked before. I can't separate it. This allows you to start being able to step back piece by piece to get your time back so that you can build memories instead of working all the time.
I tell people it makes your business transferable.
It does. I mean, you should be able to hand it off to somebody that can just be like, okay, they may not know everything, but if they know like 80%, that's something.
There's going to come a time when you're scaling a business and growing a business, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, where guess what? You're going to start to get contacted by people who might be interested in actually purchasing your business.
Yes.
All this that you spent so much time invested, life invested, it's been your passion. And that's kind of like the reward that you get if you're able to really sell your business for top dollar. And if you don't have how the business runs, I tell people you want to be able to basically create the playbook, create the operations manual, and give it to somebody who's never done your business before. And just by reading this, they can figure out exactly how to run your business.
Yeah.
If you can do that, your multiples on your business, you usually get anywhere between a 2 and sometimes a 10x multiple. If you're able to, your multiple, like the valuation, you could literally sell your business for double, triple, quadruple times what you would originally sell it if you didn't have those things. So you might as well start now.
Exactly. And I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's one thing that I have an admin that I just started onboarding last week, and we're just talking and he's just observing. And I've recorded a ton of stuff and he just watches the recordings just to kind of get familiar with it. And I've already told him, like, hey, as you start to own things, re-record my SOP to what makes sense now. So you're constantly doing improvements to the way you're already operating. And like you said, if and when you want to sell your business, as somebody that's purchasing something, would I want to have something that's already mapped out where I know where to go find documents, or would I want to have to go dig into the black hole of Google Drive? No, it's easier when there's a playbook, when there's a map, and it just makes sense. Like, I used to work at Starbucks. I ran a store. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to really quick just say, and it affects the sale of your business because that person
It
buying is going to
does.
say, if I got to do all this work, I'm not going to pay you as much money. But please go ahead, Starbucks.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And like at Starbucks, one thing that we did was we implemented a playbook at the time. And it was we essentially, the company went invested in doing like Lean Six Sigma processes, process improvement initiatives to create plays at every single store to where you could walk into a store, you knew exactly how to make the drinks. You knew what the process was from when somebody came up to the register, how long they should be there, what the assembly line, aka where they make your drink, works, and how you hand it off. You know where the milk goes. Everything was very similar. The layout might be a little bit different, but the process was the same. So then you can literally work at any store you want or go open a store and all those things. But I mean, that makes the difference. It's like the McDonald's one. McDonald's is playbook to where you can be a franchisor.
Did you work at Starbucks?
Yeah, I used to manage one back east.
So what were the SOPs like for that? I'm genuinely
Oh,
curious. What's the playbook look like? Is it like a big binder like this that
it
you have to look
was.
at? Is it all
I
online? Is it training? Like how is it?
It was a whole plethora. So they had an online school for everything where you actually, when you went through onboarding, when you go through onboarding, you have to work in a store for 6 weeks and you have to go through every single position, which is genius. So you understand how to do the basics. But then inside the store, they had a online training tool. And then you do your shadowing, of course. But once you're in the store, it's all on iPads now. I was creeping at a store on Saturday and everything's digital. But we used to have a binded book that came in at the beginning of every month, and you were supposed to use it from the first to the end of the month. And that was your daily checklist. And it was your checklist for doing your PARs for your ordering, your checklist for your team when they came in. Everybody owned a certain thing, setting up the pastries. There was a picture of how the pastry like container should look that sits in a binder.
Was it a new checklist every month? Like new SOP, like there was updates to it every month?
The updates were always online when it came to doing like the processes, but the thing that they gave you every single month was on each page was a day of the month where you had to check off every single thing that was done, the opening, the mid, and the close. So you had that quality check for the team. Did you clean the bathrooms? Did you restock everything? Did you close out the drawers? And then the training side of it was they had diagrams for everything. So there was pictures as to what the pastry container should look like, what the refrigerator setup should look like. Then they had on like, because you're on a coffee shop floor, it gets busy, it gets messy, you don't have time to go on a computer. But they'd have like a little O-ring with almost like flashcards that were laminated that were the beverage like actual ingredients and the routine and the picture of what it should look like when you're finished. And you had to practice going through that and memorizing everything because that was the process. That was the routine. That was the routine. So it was very interesting. It was a beautifully well-oiled machine. And it got down to a point where it felt like a dance. Like we would have peak periods and everybody knew their role, knew what they were doing, to where like I would be making drinks and I would know that like Vince just walked by and he just cleaned out all of these containers for me and now everything's queued up. So all I have to do is steam, push, do this, deliver. And it was just beautiful. It was so cool.
Did you ever see The Founder?
No.
You haven't seen The Founder? Kelsey, tonight you're watching The Founder. I think might still be on Netflix, but pay for it on Amazon. Like you need to watch The Founder.
I'm gonna go look it up. Okay.
It is with Michael Keaton, and it's about McDonald's. The whole story. He plays I forgot his name, but he plays the owner of McDonald's.
Okay.
And there is a scene. He wasn't the originator of McDonald's, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, spoiler alert. He wasn't the originator. He finds McDonald's. He finds this one McDonald's, and there's a scene where he's in the back and he's selling them he was selling them a milkshake machine, and he's in the back and he's looking at the dance. Like they make it look like a dance of just like the burger being made, the fries, and this and that. How everybody's just moving, nobody's running into each other, and everybody's just like boom, boom, boom. I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
That's exactly what it is.
So like, man, that's really great experience. Having worked in the McDonald's of coffee, basically, which is you could go to a Starbucks in China, and I'm assuming that they would run that Starbucks the exact same way they'd run it in a small town in Wisconsin.
Yeah. And what's interesting is like if they're using sugars, and like there's a sugar and a syrup. So like the vanilla sugar is with the pump, that gets a certain amount of pumps based on your cup size. So that's going to be the same no matter where you are because it's a sugar. Same with the syrups, the sauces. So literally you could go to another country. You just need to know what those ingredients are. Is it vanilla? Is it matcha? Is it this? Is it that? And then you can just go make it. And I remember I'd go to other stores because we'd have to pick something up or I mean stuff happens and they would be slammed and I would just hop behind and just start making stuff for them and getting them through the rush because I could. And that was the beauty of it was everybody was cross-trained, everybody could help out and the store would always just be taken care of and same with the customers.
So how have you applied that awesome experience and awesome learning experience working at literally the top of of successful operations that there really is? How have you taken what you learned there and implemented now in your business and to help other business owners?
It really showed me because I grew up in a Lean Six Sigma household, a process improvement household. So Lean Six Sigma is all about leaning out your systems, making things move smoothly, setting up processes and routines. And I've been understanding it since like middle school because my dad does it.
In your house?
In my house. He's been doing
that sounds terrible. That sounds like
not that. No, but like we would talk about it like work, that kind of thing. Like he would talk about work and I would learn.
I thought your house was like a whole system and process moving in. Yeah, this totally makes sense now.
Our changing table when the kids were babies, that was a system because you need one. Yeah. But being at Starbucks allowed me to take it because usually all of that stuff started in manufacturing. And seeing it come from manufacturing and get put into a food delivery, a retail establishment was really cool because then it made me kind of step back and go, you can literally do this anywhere. Everybody has a process. Everybody has a system. And I went into higher ed after that. And when I looked at higher ed, I was like, it's the same thing. It's a system. It's a process. You have to recruit the students. You have to onboard the students. Like everything has a routine. Everything has a little checklist that you have to make sure you get done. So it really took my point of view and made me adapt it to every industry I have been a part of since, because we all have systems, we all have routines. You just have to make sure you're looking at it that way so that you can create the playbook. So it's a beautiful dance.
How do you differentiate? I learned with Dan Sullivan. He's the owner of Strategic Coach. And he had this framework, I guess it's called, of front stage, backstage. So front stage is customer facing. This is the process, the system behind everything that you do to present to the customer. And then backstage is everything that sort of happens behind the scenes. I know I might be asking you a tough question just because every business is different, but how do you suggest a company is able to do that? Like to sort of, separate that. This is what we do to the customer, and then this is the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And do you think that one is more important than the other, especially if you want to have a good customer base that comes back?
That's a great question.
That's a tough one.
What my mind immediately went to front of house, back of house, and it immediately went to Starbucks.
Yeah, and I'm asking you because of the whole Starbucks thing. I'm assuming they've got the process of how the customer is served from here to there, and then you get this and you get that. But like, what about like the behind the scenes of Starbucks? What is that process like? What are they doing there?
It all comes down to the role. So you have the store manager, you have the shift managers, and then the baristas. And for that, it was you had the customer experience. So somebody walks in the door, you greet them, you take their order, you make sure you label the cup, you make sure that you're setting the expectation of what you're going to be, how to create the drink, how to deliver the drink, do the handoff. The back end was, we need to make sure you have cups so you can actually write on it. Do you have a marker for your cup? Because markers were like gold. They disappeared all the time because we would fill our aprons and leave. So it was, do you have everything to make your job successful when you're delivering something to the customer? You have to have a marker. You have to have a login to the till if you're the one managing it. You need to know what the little codes are, because before we used to write them on the cups. So it's really the back of house protects the front of house to make sure they have everything that they need so that they can move appropriately. And one of the things that I think Starbucks does so well is when you're onboarding, even as a barista, you learn some of these things. You learn, like, the refrigerator just doesn't get stocked with all of the pastries. We have to put it in order, and we have to manage waste, and we have to make sure there's inventory, but not too much, or else we'll get dinged for it, because then there's not enough space in the refrigerator
backstage
for
stuff.
things to be delivered. So you help the baristas understand the why and the how, so that they know what goes into them having a successful shift, because they know that the person that was about to leave before restocked everything for them. They made sure they had everything, so that when, like, Vince comes in and he's going to be making drinks, he knows that Kelsey just left the bar. She cleaned it. She made sure there was enough milk for him in the refrigerators, made sure there was whipped cream, so that when she left, he had everything he needed in the one place. And it's accountability. And I think that's the beauty of the behind the, like, the back of house and the front of house, is by them both knowing how they both operate, it allows you to have that cross training and understanding of why both of you matter.
Did they make that clear at Starbucks? Like, this is like the front facing stuff and this is the behind the scenes stuff? I'm just curious.
No, not really. That was
Because I just thought about it now and I'm like, wait, I need to also, as I'm putting together all my SOPs, I need to start thinking about doing that.
Yeah, like, you have to think about the ripple effect. And that was something that I got my store into a really good routine, to where I didn't have to hold anybody accountable anymore, because everybody held each other accountable, because they knew what the benefit was of just make sure you changed out, like, the rags for the next person if you can. And, like, there's a routine for that. Who owns that at what time? And it's, if everybody sticks to the routine and their checklist for the zone they're in, you're setting it up for success for the next person. And it got to the point where, like, I didn't have to hold them accountable, because everybody understood the value of it. And it was just a beautiful machine. It was an amazing experience.
I always like to ask my guests who serve other business owners, especially in something like you do. I'm not asking for your systems and processes, but what's your 30,000-foot view of when you do get a new client? How is it that you start implementing your expertise to make sure that you can make a difference in their company?
Yeah. First thing I do is I start out with everybody just kind of like brain dumping on me, and I just kind of process. From there, I ask everybody, and it's kind of a requirement at this
Who's
point.
Everybody?
The clients that are coming in. So clients that are looking for help.
Is it typically just the business owner, or do you also speak with, like, the leadership team as well, or is it just an initial meeting with the business owner?
It's been a mix. It's been the business owner reaches out being like, I need help. Or it's somebody within their leadership team being like, hey, I think we could really use you. And we just kind of have a discovery call, and they tell me all the things that are going on, the problems, the pain points. And then from there, if I think I'm a good fit and I can help them and they believe the same, because to me, it's a partnership. You have to get along. We do what I call the operations blueprint. And I like to take a snapshot of your current business, because if we don't know our current state, we don't know where we want to go. And with the blueprint, it is like a 5 to 6 week process, depending on how fast you want to move, where you fill out a form and you just tell me everything that's going on, everything that's on your mind, that's a pain point that you love, that you wish. And then we meet and have a strategy session. And during then, we come up with a 90-day plan. And that can look different for everybody. I had one person where it was literally an admin 90-day plan to help with operations and admin duties and developing project plans. And in that time, we develop your focus points. And then we also talk through ownership. Who's going to own it? Who's going to execute it?
Each task.
Each task, because you may have something where, like, Vince cues it up, but when Vince is finished, he needs to hand it off to Kelsey, and Kelsey's going to go own this moving forward. And being able to identify that and really put that ownership on people makes a difference. And so I help them come up with the 90-day plan, and then I help them execute it. And what's, I think, beautiful about the blueprint is, depending on the business, I'll actually send out forms, like questionnaires, to the team members, to the key team members. And usually the owner or the person that brings me in tells them, like, Kelsey's going to reach out. And I have everybody fill out forms. It could be anonymous, or I can ask you what your role is. And you tell me all the things that you think are wrong. And what I like to do is I like to take everybody's inputs and see if they align with what the owner thinks. Because you'll find sometimes there's other little things that other people are picking up on that the owner doesn't even realize. And so that's where you get the buy-in, because you're also changing things. So you need to get the frontline team and their opinion and the owners and find your happy medium. And so what I like to be that external person that helps you guys do that game plan, because you're moving the needle with the owner's goals. You're helping move and address some of the pain points of the team, and you're doing it together. And if you can't do something and say, Vince really wanted to do this, but we can't, we can actually tell Vince why, being like, hey, we can't afford that right now, but we're going to put it on the project plan for next year once we hit this revenue goal. So he knows he was heard, because that's one of the biggest deals. But we know, like, hey, this is on our list. It's just not right now. And then you keep the progress going. Does that answer it? I just want to make sure I didn't go down like my nerdy rabbit hole.
Completely.
Okay.
I mean, it's very common for the business owner to think everything is all fine and dandy until you actually start speaking to some of the team members, and they're just like, no, that's a mess. We need to fix that up.
Yeah. And it can be such simple things. Like I had one team member who was like, it'd be really nice if we could all have like a monthly just team get together, because we're all over, and just talk like a 30-minute, like, hey, how's everybody doing? Like everybody pick a topic they just want to talk about, and just like a little get together and just build relationships. And that was it.
I find it hard to get together in person now with all these virtual companies. It's too expensive.
I know.
My team's in the Philippines, in Canada, in Serbia, in Mexico, and in America.
Mm-hmm. So virtual is probably going to be the best way to do it.
You know how much that would cost to bring everybody together in person? Tell me about the 3 levers of freedom: clarity, communication, and consistency.
Okay.
I've got this here in my notes.
I know. Clarity. So for clarity, it's what are you really trying to do here? Like, what are you clear on?
That's what I do with people. I try to get them clear on the fact that, you can't just have a revenue making machine. Like, you should always be thinking with the end in mind. I literally provide a value clarity report on getting the valuation of your company so that you have some kind of exit strategy. I tell people all the time, you don't have to exit. That might not be where your mind is at, but man, you should at least have it in mind.
Exactly. And I mean,
be clear.
You've got to be clear. Like and it can go down to even just asking somebody to do something. Are you being clear? I remember I had a boss he was my visionary. He sent me an email once, and we were probably 1 month in. And in his email, the subject said DSBWS3H. And then it was an attachment. And I sat there and I was like, oh man, is this like code for something? And like, I called him. I was like, I have no idea what this means. And he was like, oh, sorry, it's double-sided, black and white, stapled, 3-hole punch for the document that he sent me.
I mean, it's pretty clear. It just wasn't understandable.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, like, but again, the clarity was, hey, this is the process for when I send these things. This is what I'm meeting. This is what I mean by it. So he has to be giving clear instructions so that he can set it up for success down the road. And that, again, then that ties into communication. Are you communicating it correctly? Because at one point I'd be getting 5 emails and they'd all have shorthand in them to the point where I knew them, but I didn't know the priority. And so he would start work at 5 and I'd log in and be like, oh my God, I get all these things done. And then he'd come in and he'd be like, wow, you got all this done? I'm like, well, you emailed it to me. And he's like, oh, we need to set priorities. I'm like, yeah, like what's a high priority? What's like a chip away at? So then we got into the routine of high priority in the email subject and setting the expectations and clear guidance on what he needed, how he needed it. And then you get into the communication, and the consistency of it all is being consistent with however you're communicating your expectations. You have to do it the same way every single time. Keep the verbiage the same. Don't make people guess.
Right.
So that's some of it.
What was I going to say was, do you have, by any chance, like a sample playbook that you can show people? Because I think what people are always sort of running into is exactly what does one of these playbooks actually look like? How is it organized? How is it put together? What are some of the SOPs that are like must-haves and systems that need to be implemented, so on and so forth? Do you like happen to have something like that? That'd be a really good lead magnet.
That is a great one. Okay, so no, not yet, because I am trying to find what I feel is digestible. So
None of it.
none of it.
Let's face
So
it.
I have a SOP tracker that I put together that's a Google Sheet.
Okay.
And it is literally what I use and I help my clients with, where it's like the department name, the name of the document, something simple, so that, because Google Drive, Outlook, whatever, becomes a black hole.
Yes,
so if
that's the problem. Look, I'm gonna admit to you, this is the issue that I'm having. And in case you haven't noticed, most of the questions that I've been asking are totally self-serving.
I see you taking notes.
By the way, the issue that I have is because we're launching this company. It's only been like 2 months. We're putting all these SOPs away, and it's just like it's becoming a black hole. And I'm just like, I love the idea of the spreadsheet. I'd like for you to, it would be great if you could send me a copy of what that looks like, and it would be smart by your part. We could add it into the description of the show if you want. I'll
add it in. Everyone can use it. It's super easy, and that's why I haven't developed an actual playbook yet, because I have playbooks that I've seen that like Dan Martell has, and I've seen playbooks that I've had other clients, and I look at them and I'm like, this is like I'm drinking from a fire hose. If I send this to somebody, they're not going to know what to do.
No, that's the playbook, is the spreadsheet. I like that.
I think it's got to be simple. And then from the spreadsheet, then you can start building out like, okay, this is the admin playbook. This is the sales playbook, and make bigger documents. Yes. But I think we just got to get started and create one single source of truth.
Yes. Yes, because I've done, now I'm building everything and everything's going into one folder, but that one folder is getting ridiculous. And now I'm thinking I'm going to have to organize that folder, or even ask someone to organize it. And you got to go in through every single one and then make the determination. Then they're going to come ask me. It's like, I love the process of the process. I love doing that one. That one's always funny. Here's how you do the process in order to complete the actual process.
Yeah. And again, it's
create the process for the process.
But there's so many processes.
I know.
And it's, again, you got to keep it simple. Don't burn calories thinking about a solution. Keep it simple. One single source of truth. You don't need to automate anything yet. You don't need to go out and buy all this fancy software. Just keep it easy.
Yeah.
So
how can we use AI to help?
Such a good question. Well, first, going back to what you said when we first started talking, you have a chat bot. When I hear that, I go, I'm not techie. Like, I don't have a bot. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, I now know you didn't go in and hard code anything. You created an area in your chat GPT where it could be either a project or like one of those lines, and you gave it a standard. And I think if you can leverage AI to help you work smarter, you are going to move faster, you're going to get more stuff done, and you're going to be able to help more people. And just like you said, pull the transcript. Tell ChatGPT, and when you're working in ChatGPT, you want to make sure you set yourself up for success. And you need to tell it who it is. Mm-hmm. So, hey, you're an operations guru. You love organizing things for fun, and you like keeping things simple, like for a 5th grader to read. Then you tell it what you want it to do. And you're saying, I'm going to drop this transcript in here. This is an SOP that I want to put together. And if you have like a template, you can have it in there. Or I think if you have a bot, maybe it's already built in. And then
I use ChatGPT to create the GPT. So I asked, I opened 2 windows and I talked to GPT. I say, hey, we're going to create a new GPT. The GPT is going to be about this, and that. Here's what I want it to do. I need you to create the instructions and everything that goes into it. It gives it to me. Then I copy paste it to the GPT that I'm creating, and then I'm good to go.
So what you're saying is your next video is going to be you screen sharing how you did that.
Yes. Yeah, because I actually learned recently that you could attach stuff to it. And I thought that the attachments to the GPT were just like examples, but they're not. The attachments that you put to the GPT are actually like very detailed instructions of how the entire process. So I put, like, for example, for my SOP GPT, I actually put a outline of exactly the way it's supposed to be set up. Even though that's sort of in the instructions already, I actually attached that to it. I have a valuation one where I put different valuations. So yeah.
Yeah, you should create a video for that.
I should create a video.
Because that's a really helpful video.
Yeah, because, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was
Mine.
just gonna say one of the things that I tell business owners that if they're even thinking about exiting, like again, it's just that I call it structural capital. We have the four. I've been trained on the four C's: structural capital, which is your SOPs; customer capital; human capital, which is your employees; and social capital, which is your branding and your website stuff like that. If those things aren't on point and transferable, which means your SOPs are clear for someone else to use, your customers are happy. They don't care who else is the owner because of the way things are running. Your employees are happy and willing to make the exit and the transition as well and are aware of what's going on. And your branding and everything is on point. We're at 5-star Google reviews. Like all that stuff, if it's transferable, super high level company you have to sell, like high multiple.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think people get intimidated by it. I actually put together like a freebie on just some prompts that you can use for the non-techie person. Because I'm not techie. I can figure it out. I'm resourceful. But when it comes to like building things, I find it intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can use AI and like I think your video, if you did one of like how you built that would be beautiful. That's something I would be watching. And then also using it for just your own mental state. When you're a business owner, we were talking about, I think before we even started, like when you lay down at night, we have kids, your brain starts going about your children and like, oh, should I have done that? Your brain's going to do that with your business too. And if you can leverage ChatGPT, which that's the one I use, and I have it, I have the business plan and I have it where I can just do voice notes. I just talk to it and I say, hey, chat, and I have different like prompts. Like, this is everything that's going on in my mind right now. And I need you to help prioritize for my business, but also for me. And some of these things feel really heavy. And I just need to get help kind of walking through the heaviness so that I can actually execute. And you tell it everything that's going on in your head. And it helps you work through those hard things. It helps you prioritize. And I think the beauty of it is just by even leveraging it to talk to it and it give you an outline of a plan, it also gives you a boost to get started. It gives you that a little adrenaline jump to actually get going. And I'll do it in the mornings if like I am moving slow and I just don't feel like doing anything yet. I'll talk to ChatGPT and it will get my juices going. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. And then like go do stuff. So I think leveraging it, yes, for your documentation so you can move faster, but also for your own mental clarity and being able to have boundaries to know of like what you can get done, what you can delegate, because you can ask it for recommendations on how to delegate and who to delegate. And really just helping you create routines and boundaries and just get it out of your head.
First of all, I love the idea of using it as your therapist.
It's
That's
nice.
correct. I love where it's going too. Like, exactly. I love when I hear that because my wife and I use it for the same thing. My wife
Yeah.
will literally talk to it to just like figure stuff out. I've got one, I've got a, not a GPT, but I've got like a project where I just call it business strategist. And if
Mm,
I'm going into business with somebody and I need to figure out equity, partnership, stuff like that, but then also if I need to figure out my organizational chart, who should do this, and I explain this person's really good at this and this is what he does now. Yeah, man, it really gives you a lot of clarity as to what you need to do. I wish more people would use it because again, what I wanted to say was I love where it's going, the AI thing where we're eventually all going to have like our own like personal AI, which we kind of do already, but like it's going to be, God knows what it looks like, but they'll know everything about you. They'll be able to give you the best advice, watch your health.
mhm.
One of my guys on my team uses it. It's like his trainer. He started
Cool.
working out a couple months ago, provides him all the diet. He takes a photo of what he's eating and it gives him all the macros of the photo.
Oh, that's so cool.
I know. And it tracks it with what his macros are supposed to be for the day. So it already knows you have this much left now. So it's like just incredible. And yeah, I'd like to end on that because for me, AI is definitely the future. And if anybody's not, I literally talked to a friend just on Saturday night, Kelsey, and I'm like, "Are you using AI?" And he's looking for a job. And he's like, "Nah, I don't really need it." And I'm like, "Dude, you're not going to find a job. Like if
No,
you are not in depth and up to date with what's going on, you're screwed."
you are. Because I mean, we used to say, I don't know, Google it.
Mhm.
That's not being said anymore.
No.
It's now going to be like, I don't know, like ChatGPT it.
Well, I whatever call that was with Dan where he talked about he said he told his team that if you're not using this 6 months, you're going to be replaced.
Yeah.
I told that to my team and they woke up quick because I had a girl on my team who just didn't want to use it and now she's all on board. And today I was training my new executive assistant, and I'm writing this email, and she's like, "Do not press send before you finish." So I finish it. She's like, "Okay," because I usually use ChatGPT, but I also have the Google one. She's like, "Go there, click the thing, polish it up, and then do that." I'm like, "All right, very
I love that.
nice."
That's awesome. I was looking at how they have that integration with Google having, I think it's Gemini. I
Gemini.
haven't jumped on board with that one yet, but I like that it's all in one system. So
Yeah.
I probably should look at it.
Yeah.
Because I use ChatGPT and Claude. I've been using Claude to take whatever I build in ChatGPT and format it, clean it up, make
Really?
it flow a little bit better, especially if it's like writing and SEO related. I find it just cues it up a little bit more and it gives a little extra punch.
Interesting.
And then I take that and I bring it over.
Think about creating the GPT for all of the systems, the process, especially for all your clients and stuff like that. And then also really think about the actual AI agent to do it all. Because you could
Well, I'm waiting for your video, Vince. Give me the video
Well, the
of the
GPT, I can
GPT.
tell you, I'm using Zulfia for my AI agent, and
She's the best.
she's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Curious to see how that's going to come out. Kelsey, thank you so much for taking the time. I apologize we had to reschedule a couple of times, but we got it done. That's what happens when you have kids. Things just come up.
I know, they're little parasite carriers.
Those little parrot. What is up with that? I had to go to did I tell you I took him to the doctor today?
No.
Yeah, randomly, he's just got like some swelling on the side of his ankle that doesn't hurt at all. It's just like there. It's just like we don't know how it got there. So it's always something. And he's always like this, like wiping his nose because it's always
the
snot.
daycare nose. Daycare nose doesn't go away till like kindergarten.
Constantly, man. So
They're always leaking. They're always leaking.
They're always leaking, yes, and coughing all over the place. But they're so freaking cute. That's their superpower, I always say.
We love them.
Kelsey, thank you so much for coming on. We'll put all your information in the show description. Are you gonna do a giveaway? That's the I suggest you do.
I will do the SOP tracker. I will.
Yes, but send it to me first. Forget everybody else.
I will send it to you first, and then you can include it in there. And if anyone has questions, just reach out to me on Instagram, and I can kind of give you a voice note and walk you through it. So
cool. All right, Kelsey, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.